As train 3314 approached Elizabethport Station, the drawbridge operator Pat Cochran and the DY Tower, which control movable bridge over the channels above the Newark Bay, received a signal from the dread ship Sand Captain that was bound downstream. Pat next set in motion the procedure to raise the bridge, which consisted of various railroad signals, changing colors, and the bridge span opening to the height of 108 feet above the water. This was completed at 9:55 a.m. River traffic has priority over rail traffic on this and most of the bridges. The train moving eastward from Perth Amboy Branch stopped in Elizabethport to discharge and receive passengers and exchange company mail. At 9:57 a.m., train number 3314, with approximately 100 passengers, departed and at the FH Tower was routed on the main track 3 and then on the main track 1 for the trip across the Newark Bay Bridge. They passed the FH Tower, which is also known as the Singer Tower, and Towerman Joan Holliday waved to the engineer Wilburn. The previous overhead signal, L48, displayed red over green. Name was medium clear. This indicated that the train should proceed at a medium speed. Medium speed is defined as 1/2 a normal speed, but not exceeding 30 miles an hour. Since the employee's timetable prescribes normal speed over the bridge at 45 miles an hour, medium speed would therefore be 22.5 miles per hour. The speed of number 3314 was then increased to 41 miles per hour. The next signal, automatic block signal 82, displayed yellow over red, named approach. This indicates proceed, approaching the next signal, preparing to stop. The train exceeding medium speed must immediately reduce that speed. Then engineers should have been slowing the train down to 22.5 miles per hour. The next and last signal before the accident was R26, displaying red over red, meaning stop. In this case, without stopping, the mechanical split rail type derailed the train. Although derailed, the bouncing train continued its forward progress in line with the track. Despite the derailing, the train's momentum carried it forward. There were also shrieking warning sign signals from the ship's Sand Captain. Train number 3314 with 2 locomotives, number 1532 and number 1526, and 2 passenger cars, numbers 1004 and 1100, left the bridge at 10:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time and sank in Newark Bay in a giant geyser of water. A third passenger car, number 932, left the tracks but was hung up on a piling for several hours before it finally fell into Newark Bay. Passenger car number 1062, which stopped 8 feet short of the edge, and the combine car number 293 remained on the track. The Federal Accident Report of the Interstate Commerce Commission lays the blame on the engineer for failing to operate his train in accordance with the signal indicated. Speculation by other railroad employees was that engineer Wilburn died before going off the bridge. Further speculation was that fireman had been out of the cab and was on his way back from the second unit or engine after shutting off the steam generator, which provided heat in the passenger car due to a cool morning when the derailment occurred. Due to the bouncing derailed passenger cars, fireman Pete Andrews could do nothing about gaining control of the engine. It had been said that the drawbridge operator Pat Cochran never worked that tower or any bridge again because of the traumatic impact it had on him.
The day of the wreck, it was a Jewish holiday, which I learned at the ceremonies, and that's why I was off. And the skipper's daughter and I were at the Robbins Reef Yacht Club, and we took the small rowboat out, which was probably about 15 foot, and I was rowing, and we were rowing around, just taking in the day. And the Sand Captain was southbound around Beacon 9, and I was probably maybe a little north of him, and we're just putting around. We weren't far offshore or anything. So they were light, they were outbound, and as I said, we were rowing around out there, and with the knowledge that I learned in the Sea Scouts about rules of the road and navigation and all, I heard the sand captain blow the distress signal, which is 4 blasts or more on the whistle. And I looked up, and when I looked up, I didn't see the train go in the water, but I saw the splash coming down. So I had no reason to be looking at the bridge anyway until the signal made me aware of the fact that something was going on. And by then he was stopped. He was stopped. And it's funny, I remember him stopping, and I saw the splash, and I start rowing back to the yacht club. Now, at the time, the Robbins Reef had a real long dock out into the bay with a big float at the end, and then there were a couple slips for the boats. But it was maybe the length of a football field long, with a big float at the end. And I saw what was going on, and immediately I start rowing back to the yacht club, because I knew there was guys in the bar. There was some guys in the bar at the Robbins Reef, and I ran over, drew a line out, and I ran up the dock. I ran into the bar. Now that's another football field from the dock to the bar up there. It's a big piece of property. And I went in, and these guys are all sitting there, and I'm going, the train went off the bridge. The train went off the bridge, and they're like, get out of here. What are you talking about? I'm just, honest to God, look, come on, look. And they come out, and when they come out, I took off back to the boat, because, like with my training, it's like you save lives at sea, and that's it. Inbred in me, through the Sea Scouts and my father. So now a young 14-year-old kid, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and save everybody now. I know that's what I thought. So you figure by the time it took me to get up to the club, to row in, to get up to the club, back to the boat, the alarm, the first responders were starting. I'm sure that Eddie from the Elko, Eddie McCarthy, knew what was going on, and the power boats start going out. I guess a couple from the reef might have went out. But I figured I'd get over there and help, But at this time, there were first responders there, because I'm going over to save everybody, and they come over and no, you can't stay here, Of course, at the time I got a resentment, but now I understand the procedure, So I just sculled around there and watched what was going on when all the boats came and everything, and the rescue started, and the search started and all. And then I don't remember what time I went back to the club, what time I disengaged from the whole thing, but it had to be a few hours, And then that was it for me, and I watched it on television and stuff.
Well, as the train continued at about 2:03, the engine just kept going into the water. The 2 engines went into the water. The 3 cars went into the water, and 2 cars remained onto the bridge. The 3rd car was the one that was hanging over the bridge. The other ones were completely underwater. The one that was hanging over the bridge hung over the bridge for about 2.5 hours until it fell in. By the time it fell in, all the people who could be saved from it were saved from it. The response was very, very quick. As soon as it went over, word went out. I was traveling between the 2 campuses of Marist. They had a campus at St. Andrews at that time, and also at 8th Street, when I heard the sirens go off. And that's when I knew there was something going on, and it seemed like every emergency vehicle and agency was heading towards that spot. By the time I stopped and got into the school, we found out that there was a rail accident there. It's kind of interesting that a lot of the students at that time used to come over that bridge. Roselle and Cranford and places like that were the source of a lot of students. So if it was a little bit earlier, there could have been some students coming into Bayonne on that train. Fortunately, it was a later train.